Hello and welcome to the Auchmuty High School update for the Auchmuty High School community for this week. I'm going to start with just a quick update on COVID. I'm glad to say it's been a very calm week as far as COVID has been concerned. There's been no real issues. As always, we've kept up all our protocols and it's very important we continue to do so. We cannot overemphasize how disruptive it would be if there was a major outbreak of COVID within the school again. And it's something we want to avoid at all costs. So could I ask parents for you to keep going with this in terms of making sure your child comes to school in a mask, they're observing social distancing and sensible behaviour outside of school. And within school, we'll make sure that all the one-way systems, hand sanitising, the masking, and so on keeps going to keep your children as safe as we possibly can. So let's hope that this continues, that we don't have any more COVID within the school. But we do know from other areas of Scotland it's still around and it's still a problem. So let's just keep our guard up. Now, SQA assessments, 4th to 6th year, they are very much underway. When you walk around the school, you're seeing tests going on, assessments in so many classes at the moment. And my heart really does go out for the young people who are going through this at this stage. I appreciate how difficult it is. I'm sure at home many of your children will feel very stressed and worried about this, but can I assure you it is a partnership. We're working really hard with the children, trying to get them the very best results possible. And it's something which does go on now for a number of weeks as we get through this process. What I'd say is that the initial testing has shown that there are many pupils who've worked hard and doing fine. There's a few who have worked pretty well, a bit rusty and could still improve further as this testing goes on, assessments go on, I should say. And there is a group who I think have probably not engaged as well as they should have done in lockdown, and that's now beginning to show when they're actually faced with an assessment. So there is time for all of these groups to keep going, whether they're doing well, to keep doing well. If they could do a bit better, there's a time to do that. And if they're really a wee bit lost, then it's maybe a time for a chat with the guidance teacher, the subject teacher and so on, the head of subject, and just to make sure that they've got a sort of clear pathway ahead. A bit of stress is another problem. We often hear that the children are very stressed, and I'm sure they are. So a bit of stress is okay. It's when that stress becomes overwhelming, when they're really, really unhappy and not able to function fully. That's when stress becomes an issue. You could argue that some stress is not a bad thing at all. It makes you a bit sharper. The worry factor gets you working. But when you can't work for worrying, that's when it's an issue. So if your children are really, really feeling the strain of this, please contact their guidance teacher, have a chat with them. We'll see what we can do to help and support and so on. But at the end of the day, it's all about a partnership and trying to get the very best from what has been a very, very difficult year. Now, we're still aiming to have an initial report about where things are going ready for you by the end of May. There'll be a second one in the middle of June, followed by a final report at the end of June that will confirm what the final grades were. The initial report will just be an estimate. It'll be an indication of where things are going, but it will be useful in terms of you being able to give support to your child and having an idea of what the likely outcome is going to be come the end of June. So that's all very much ahead of us. The final thing I'd mention here is that some pupils will be through most of their assessments quite soon. Our expectation is that everybody will go to class until the end of May. Come the start of June, we'll start reviewing people's individual circumstances. There will be some youngsters in 4th, 5th and 6th year who might well be ready to leave at this stage. Normally exam leave would have started and effective exam leave would have been the end of school for them. That's not the case this year, so we've got to look quite carefully at the different routes that pupils can take, especially as the assessments go on and some pupils will be finished and others still have more assessments to go. So we're actually looking at that just now, and we'll give very clear guidance about how that will be handled in the coming weeks. Now, moving on, 1st to 3rd year, very pleased with the way that they've settled back into school. They're working well, they're coming across well to their teachers and so on. And the vast majority of them are very settled in school, which is nice to see after such a long layoff. We are looking at a bit of enhancement. We've been discussing this at the senior management team meeting with the heads of subjects, head of faculty. And there's a number of subjects who are sort of putting in plans now, and I think others will be encouraged to do the same, just to sort of be aware that as it goes towards the end of term, and we're getting towards the end of June, a bit of enhancement, a bit more fun, if you like, could be a good idea at that point, just to get over those last few weeks with the timetable not actually due to change till August. So things that will be very beneficial to the pupils in terms of learning, but just make it a bit more interesting towards the end of the year. Normally we have that change of timetable because of the children coming back from exam leave and so on, and that normally does the trick in terms of those last few weeks. So it's just making sure that we keep things going really smoothly. Now, I'd also like to mention the teachers in the school who are involved with the Duke of Edinburgh. Now, we have a very, very good scheme within the school. We deliver more Duke of Edinburgh awards than any other school in Fife. And I've been really impressed in the last few weeks with how the group of teachers who are heavily involved with this and deliver these awards every year have really got themselves organised again. They've been on first aid courses, they've been on practice trips and so on. And it's all very much with the idea of getting the Duke of Edinburgh Award back on track as soon as possible. There's already signs that that's happening. So, you know, huge credit to them to have that commitment and to be thinking that way at a time when they have so many stresses and pressures on them in terms of the school coming back and the SQA work that we're doing and so on, that they're still so committed to this work with the children. It's absolutely first rate and really, really impressed. So, you know, hats off to them. Great effort. Now, finally, today, I'd just like to mention a young lady in first year who I think did something quite remarkable in the last few weeks. Niamh Braid is one of our first year pupils, and she campaigned the politicians in the run-up to the election to actually give free British Sign Language lessons to all pupils across Scotland who wanted them. And initially, this was a campaign involving the SNP as the government of the day, but very quickly she found that all of the political parties backed her campaign. And as a result, no matter who wins or loses this election and so on, we can guarantee that Niamh Braid has managed to achieve something quite remarkable, agreement across political parties that will guarantee that all children across Scotland will be able to do British Sign Language courses for free when the new Parliament convenes. Absolutely incredible achievement. It's been highlighted on local radio and indeed national radio, I believe, in the last week. And it's such an amazing achievement for a young girl like that to achieve. I think often, you know, young people will say, well, I'm not very interested in politics, but when you see the impact that Niamh's had here, and, you know, you look at somebody like Greta Thunberg, who has, you know, made a massive, massive impact on climate, you can see why young people should be interested in politics. Not only that, but what ability they have now through social media and other means to actually change the world that they live in. So first-rate example, and very, very impressed. Huge well done to Niamh. Okay, so thanks for listening to this week's update. I hope you and your family are remaining well and getting through what I'm hoping is now the last weeks and months of the pandemic. And thank you very much once again for listening this week. Bye just now.